Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this community showdown. It's going to be the Skaven versus the Wood Elves, and look at that, the Skaven are not doing the Lord Unsummoning Cheese, which, well, I guess Skaven like cheese and all that, but it is going to be a basic race here, Plague Claw Catapult, and a million Clan Rats, which is certainly quite good, facing off against missile factions. You don't want to be giving them anything to really focus down, other than crappy infantry, which their ammunition is not going to be worth shooting at. So we do have a Gracier of Rune. Gracier is going to be rocking the Scorch, which is a bound ability, but his baseline spells are going to be the Warp Lightning and the dreaded 13th spell. Very exciting. And Warp Storm Scroll, really, really strong characters, you know. If you're facing off against Sisters of Twilight, a Flying Lord over here in the case of the Spellweaver, you can lock them down and focus them with other pieces. But it's basically going to be a Vermintide build, just tons of rats and just trying to drown them in rats. Yep, pretty basic stuff here from Pink. And now on the other side of the battlefield, we do have the Wood Elves, who are going to be led by Nerexa here. Nerexa coming in with Dryads, backed up by Waywatchers. Waywatchers looking to snipe Skaven, high-value targets like Rat Ogres and characters and whatever else they can possibly find. Spellweaver, going to be Dwellers Below. And one of the reasons why this is very much a staple is because of this. So you bring Loic's Blessing, it makes your character faster and invisible. You sneak up on their artillery piece and you pop Dwellers Below, and it basically kills the artillery piece if they're not reacting like immediately. So pretty cool power combo there. It's going to be Treekin. Treekin I'm a huge fan of. They're resilient against Globadiers. Slingers don't do much against them. Very, very tough for the Skaven to remove outside of using like Rat Ogres, and even Rat Ogres won't kill them like super quickly. Treekin are a very resilient unit. High melee defense, high armor, big HP pool. They got physical resist. They got missile resist. I'm a big fan of these units, and I think they're one of the hidden gems in the Wood Elf roster. So the battle is on. Eternal Guard on their way down. Looks like Wood Elf's going to be initially grabbing Objective 3. Granted, the Vermintide is coming in pretty hard with a lot of bodies. Plague Claw Catapult, I would wager, going to be shooting into whatever it can really hit. You know, you want to go after the Dryads here. Go after the Waywatchers would be ideal, but of course they're invisible, being extra sneaky Elves and all that sort of good stuff. So here comes the shots from downtown. Is it going to hit? Will First Blood be drawn this day? As the trees do get popped, and it looks like they do take some casualties. Nothing super substantial, but they're going to be now hiding behind the train. And we do see the Treekin moving up onto the objective. And yeah, that's a lot of rats to clear out, man. And you know, if Wood Elves had come in with like a Glade Guard line, how many of these are shielded? So yeah, a fair amount of the rats are shielded. Some of them aren't. The Spear variants don't appear to be shielded, so you'd want to focus them. Loic's Blessing is active, so currently the Spellweaver is hidden, and it looked like there was going to be a Dweller's attempt, but it would seem that the Catapult is on the move, so maybe that was a bit of a deterrent. We'll have to see. So how will the Wood Elves get through this massive Skaven bodies, man? That is a lot of capture weight down here for the Skaven. Each of these Clan Rats has 5 capture weight, right? So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 34, like 40 capture weight against like, maybe like somewhere like just past 10 here for the Wood Elves. Although if the Archers get up on the point, that's going to be adding some as well. But it looks like Dryads will be getting in there. Dryads do defeat Clan Rats, not decisively, but they do win. They just have better damage output, better combat stats, high weapon strength at 40. So here comes the Rats, and we'll see if they can hold. Pretty cool scheme there, so you can see the brave Skaven slaves holding them back. Treekin going to be trying to punch through these rats as well, and they will do it eventually, but they'll take basically no damage in the process. You can see the Treekin barely getting poked here, and they are starting to wear these guys down. Now, as far as the backfield goes, the Wood Elves are using their Waywatchers and trying to snipe the Gracier, so a little bit of a lapse in micro here from these Skaven. Got a little bit comfortable, just thought that that was the initial Vanguard here, and the Gracier of Rune is going to be getting pounded pretty darn hard by that. Meanwhile, up on the high ground, not much going on. We do see the Dryads and the Eternal Guard hanging out here, and the big Vermintide kind of chilling out here as well. So the Skaven finally realize what's going on, and they get their Gracier. They pop the Unholy Clamor for the leadership. Catapults have switched on here, and it looks as if the Gracier is going to be fleeing the scene. Now, will we see the Warp Storm Scroll? Probably so. And that's not a bad Dwellers. If it's able to hit both those rats, that could be pretty strong, but it looks like the Skaven player is going to be able to dodge that. And another Catapult coming in with Rat Ogre reinforcement. So I do like that. The Catapults obviously can do some good, consistent damage against the Waywatchers, and you can see they're starting to get melted. But the Gracier, I mean, if the Gracier dies, that's going to be pretty catastrophic for the Skaven for sure. They really, really want to keep that bad boy alive. In terms of protecting the character, Rat Ogres, as well as a million more Skaven slaves coming in. High ground objective, nothing going down here. Really, the epicenter of combat is going to be over the side objective. Wood Elves summoning in War Dancers. War Dancers are really good at clearing out Clan Rats, assuming they're not being bombarded or hit with different artillery pieces. And it would appear that the Gracier is going to be surviving. Probably just like hiding back here behind this terrain and dropping magic whenever you can. And the dreaded 13th spell was activated, so it has come out, and we can see the Storm Vermin surging forward from the depths of the Black Ark. Who would have known that this Black Ark was infested by the Skaven? Dude, look how cool this is. Oh my god. Such an epic, epic thing. But yes, the Storm Vermin going to be pushing back the Archers, which is quite cost effective. You can see that they're not using their ammunition because they don't want to be wasting it into the summon units. Plague Claw Catapult still trying to tee off on them. Not really hitting too well as they run, although a couple shots there do drag down some Waywatchers. But the Storm Vermin are going to be dissipating, but it did buy the Skaven some time. It looks like Plague Claw Catapult's doing a little bit of friendly fire damage, but that's truly the Skaven way. That's how, it should be. Skaven friendly firing, it's a very iconic thing. High ground, yeah, Wood Elves aren't going to be pushing up. Granted, they could get some like War Dancers or something and send them in here, and they would be able to clear a ton of Skaven, probably in a very cost-effective manner, but Again, both players are very heavily focused on the low ground engagement. We do see a Dweller's Blow coming in, but again, that's kind of the idea behind the Vermintide build. You don't really give them anything valuable to kill. Like, everything is expendable, everything is just can be thrown into the trash, and you don't really care. I would imagine these clan rats back here will be unsummoned, and they're also not being blobbed up. Some of the rats are sitting in reserve, letting the first rank of rats fight until they get killed or get tired, and then they move those bad boys up. So Wood Elves coming in with Lost Sylvan Knights. Lost Sylvan Knights do bring terror to the battlefield, so that could be incredibly effective at kind of breaking the Skaven. And since the Honorable Pink here is not abusing the Skaven power grab mechanic, we're not going to be seeing falsely augmented Skaven leadership, right? Warp Lightning going down. Where are these Stag Knights going to go? War Dancers piling in. Should be able to cut through the Clan Rats, but Rat Ogres on top will, be able to punch them pretty good. They are a bonus for his infantry unit and aren't going to be exceptional against big targets. But it looks like the Lost Sylvan Knights are going to be moving in and looking to fight, but Plague Claw Catapults, I would imagine, are going to be targeting these Mighty Christmas Cav. You can see they are affected by the contamination. And Plague Claw Catapults themselves, and most of the Skaven shooting in this game does do magic damage, so is going to be quite effective here. But the Rats are managing to hold on to it. Value trading is pretty even. It looks like the Wood Elves are slightly ahead, and the Wood Elves do have access to some healing via regrowth, so that could be quite nice. I would imagine there's going to be a regrowth on Lost Sylvan Knights once they take a little bit more damage. They're still at 32 of 32 models, so they're holding it down, and the Skaven Slave's still up on the point, but a lot of the actual Skaven capture weight is starting to buckle here, and it looks like there is going to be another Dweller's Blow going down, which is going to be incredibly punishing, actually. That's going to hit like 2 or 3 of these rat units that are basically blobbing to stay on the objective to maintain the capture weight, but the Earth reclaims the rats and drags them back down to the depths from whence they came as the Treekin march forth, or waddle forth, and it's more of a waddling, I suppose, although they are 34 movement speed, but yeah, it looks like the Skaven are going to get pushed off. The Vermintide needed a little bit of more support. It needed maybe some Globadiers, maybe some sort of shooting. We'll see if they're going to be able to reclaim that point, as the Wood Elves are going to get that. Catapult's doing a very good job here. You can see them getting in and teeing off here on the Sylvan Knights. Sylvan Knights down to 29 models, and you can't resurrect the models on these guys, at least with the tools that the Wood Elves have access to. I wonder if there's like other factions that could Invocation only works on undead units, so that wouldn't be able to resurrect them, so it is what it is. But Sylvan Knights piling into a bunch of Spears and Rat Ogres, but the Terror Route in tandem with the infantry support here, or the Treekin support they have, might lead to a big mass rout. And Catapult shooting, we do see a Chieftain coming out. The Chieftain does have the Power Grab ability, but again, he has it in the more traditional sense. And to the backfield, it looks like some of the Glade Riders have been able to get through, and they are going to be saturating onto the artillery in the backfield. And Ogres and Spears are nearby, but they might be able to temporarily shut down this Catapult, which would be pretty strong, allowing the Sylvan Knights and other units to really, get their worth. So now for Skaven. Just take advantage of the artillery, get these catapults back online, and they just need to start bombarding into all these units here. And it looks like there's going to be another spell going down. The dreaded 13th spell once again. It does nuke the Dryads. I think it's my favorite thing. It's a great excuse to actually just be able to say dreaded with it actually making sense and being pertinent to the current state of the game. But Dryads here getting melted, and Sylvan Knights are getting pushed back. The capture weight here for the Wood Elves. I very much have a feeling that this is going to be it's going to be back and forth, and these two players are going to be wrestling for this. But honestly, the Skaven seem to be resurging pretty well, whereas the Wood Elves here look a little bit tattered. Looking at the army value, we do see that the Skaven have pulled ahead quite a bit with that dreaded 13th spell, and the Catapults just kind of methodically picking apart the Sylvan Knights. Honestly, who needs Warp Lightning Cannons? These things are good against both the Lost Sylvan Knights as well as the infantry, whereas Warp Lightning Cannons would be a little bit more niche, of course. Granted, yeah, Warp Lightning Cannons would kill the Cav faster, obviously. Clan Rat Spears fighting here. Looks like there's going to be a Warp Lightning going down. Warp Lightning seems to be a pretty good cast against these units. And oh my god, big magic damage coming down, melting a lot of these guys. I would wager they're going to need a regrowth right now. You can see they're at 11 leadership. The contamination is brutal, and the Skaven Bombardment's doing some big work. Now, up on the high ground, it looks like there were some Wild Riders trying to get some free charges in here, so they did wear down these Clan Rats. The Unholy Clamor does keep their leadership a little bit stable during that whole course. And Plague Claw Catapults, what are they shooting at? Yep, just still melting those Sylvan Knights. And the objective is being held once again by these Skaven. So Dryads on their way in, up in the sky. We do see the Wood Elf Lord being a little bit chill. Could get back here and maybe try and get a Dwellers on top of the Plague Claws. I think that would be a little bit of a stronger play, because without the Plague Claw Catapults, I think the Wood Elves would probably still hold the objective, but those things are really getting big value. The last of the War Dancers still fighting here, but Rats are going to be able to just drown them. 37 models against 71. The Rats would probably, they might even still lose that fight, but there's more where that came from, to say the least. And look how good the Treekin are. I feel like if there's 2 or 3 Treekin, they can really, really do some solid work for sure. But in terms of the value, the Skaven are taking over. The Skaven are taking over. And on the high ground, the Wild Riders continuing to charge in, getting some nice breaks, and this is an opportunity for the Wood Elves to potentially get back in the game here. Obviously, their units individually, like the Dryads and Treekin and Wild Riders here, are going to be quite exceptional against most of these, Haggard Spear units. And the Wood Elves are still harrying here. They're still kind of contesting this objective. Their archers are shooting in, and it looks like they're going after the Ogres, but my oh my, there is a massive Vermintide going down. And Catapults, how are they looking? So looking at the value here, 1,300 on these ones, and these ones are at 2,000 value from bombarding Wild Riders, most notably the Lost Sylvan Knights here. Another nice shot right into the center mass of the Dryads here, as we do get the Treekin popping on top of the Clan Rats, and more Skirmish Cav on their way in, but they're not going to do very well against Clan Rats. You know, Glade Riders have okay stats, but Clan Rats have a good enough stats to fight off like these light kind of Cav units. Wild Riders can really, you know, wreck them pretty badly, but Wild Riders definitely need a cost reduction. They're like probably 100 gold more expensive than they should be. I think if you lower the cost of both the shielded and basic variant by 100, I think Wild Riders could be in a pretty cool place. More catapult fire doing work. Wood Elves desperately trying to get this objective. Still down very, very heavily in value, and the rats are just swarming all over this point. I mean, look how many rats there are. They're just all over the place. The true Vermintide. I remember the first time I faced a proper Vermintide build. It was right when the Immortal Empires came out, and I was playing a game with Random Nix, and he just like literally brought nothing but like clan rats against me, and it was just the most unholy build I had faced. I mean, he had other things. He had some weapons teams, I think, as well as a Grey Seer to buff them all, but yeah, it was just a true rat horde. And, you know, it's not an uncommon playstyle in land battle as well against Wood Elves to just kind of do infantry swarms. You know, if they're going to be having a ton of Way Watchers trying to snipe your lords and characters, and all you do is show up with a bunch of crappy units and just try and run them out of ammo and grind them down, it is something that we saw in land battle as well, so it has carried over to domination. So Clan Rats just super sauced up from the Unholy Clamor, going to be saucing up their vigor as well as their leadership, allowing them to hold against some very, very scary units. Wood Elves still trying to get in, but the value lead is getting even more substantial for the Skaven, and you can see the Wood Elves here are just getting taken down. And this is kind of a cool combo. It's just like straight up you have the hammer, which is the catapult, and the anvil, which is the Clan Rats. The Clan Rats just moving up and just, you know, letting the hammer drop on their heads, while the hammer, I guess, is the catapult. Yes, it's dropping on their heads, but it's doing a lot of damage, and they're certainly doing work. Blade Riders on their way out, more Dryads as well. Looking at the value, 5.8 to 9,000 right now for the Vermintide. Vermintide is going to be closing in on 1,000 points here. Bottom objective actually being contested a little bit, so it looks like the Wood Elves do have good capture weight here. Dryads do trade very well. I mean, 264 kills on these ones. These ones are at 160, so they have no problem just cutting through these Clan Rats. But the Way Watchers seem to have been one of the weaker picks this game. I mean, they have gotten 1,000 value, but they're certainly not efficient against these types of Skaven units. But I suppose if the Skaven are coming in with a more traditional Skaven build, which is going to be Globadiers backed up by, you know, Clan Rats, and then mixing in maybe Jezzails and things like that, the Way Watchers can move in and focus those targets down and, you know, remove the Globadiers, allowing your front line to prosper. So I certainly see the application of the Way Watchers in the matchup, but here it does seem like they've been the weak link, as just the rats are all over the place, man. They're just drowning the Wood Elves. You can see a couple of these Wood Elf cavalry here trying to fight, but they're going to be pinned down. And up on the high ground, though, the Wood Elves look like they're making a little bit of progress as Dryads are getting into the right units, but we do have some good quality Skaven up here, and I don't know the current status of the Dwellers below, but these are the Council Guard. Council Guard are unbreakable capture weight. They also have very, very high armor for Skaven standards. They have 90 armor, so Dryads won't do a whole lot against them. And once again, the Clan Rats hang in here, and the force multiplying effect of the Grey Seer using that Unholy Clamor is just so incredibly good. The Lost Sylvan Knights on the way. We got more Clan Rats hustling up. These Dryads should be worn down in due time. Clan Rats should be able to defeat the last of the Eternal Guard right here. And Sylvan Knights, of course, still providing terror, which is very, very important for keeping them online, but those catapults being allowed to just use their full payloads is brutal. They definitely needed to be shut down earlier. They've been just ripping apart this Elven army, just getting huge volley damage here on the Dryads, contaminating them, tanking their leadership to 2 right there, just absolutely nasty stuff. So more rats on the way, and more rats, and more rats! The Vermintide staying true to its name. Looks like there's going to be some Glade Riders trying to find their way back here, but, you know, they probably noticed that the catapult was out of ammo anyway, so it wasn't really a great call for them. And looking at the score right now, it's 11:55 to 7:21. The Rats holding on to the point. Are the Wood Elves going to have any chance of getting back in this game? We're going to have to see. I feel like they just have too much of a point deficit to do it. They had a really kind of a bit of a cheeky push here, and they are getting some momentum on the Rats. You know, having a Eagle character in these terror-causing units certainly can chain route a lot of Skaven forces. And if the Council Guard actually overchase and don't get back on the objective, but it looks like Pink is going to be getting the Council Guard back on the point there, which is very, very good. Want to make sure to hold that if you possibly can. Cavalry riding down rats in the back. Skaven do have the deficit in capture weight here on this point, but as soon as the Council Guard get back onto that, they're going to be maintaining that one. Archers using pretty much all of their ammo. There's a lot of loose rats on the battlefield. These things should definitely be unsummoned. A little bit of an oversight from the Skaven, but they should be unsummoning those so they can get them back in the pool and continue spamming here. This objective is being held by the Skaven, but for how long is the question? I mean, their Chieftain is here. We got the double Way Watchers moving up, and it seems like the Skaven have run out of steam here, but I'm pretty sure they're in Helm's Deep territory, but oh my god, are they going to lose this objective as well? And again, there's healing on the Wood Elf side. There has been healing. I've seen a couple regrowths on the Lost Sylvan Knight, so that could be something that brings them back. And it looks like the Wood Elves are starting to get a little bit of momentum against the Rats. Capture weight does belong to the Wood Elves right now. It looks like it's, oh no, it looks like Pink is actually going to be holding on to this one. Yeah, very, very tight game here. Very, very tight game. It kind of looks like it was over, but then, you know, you look around the battlefield like, wait, where all the Skaven going? Which is the most Skaven experience you could possibly run into. And obviously some lapses in micro here are going to be a bit of an issue. There's a lot of clan rats that should be back on the point. And yeah, you know, not having them back there fighting is going to be allowing your opponent to get closer and closer. So Skaven holding on to the objective just barely. Council Guard fighting on the point, and we do have some Ogres as well on the Vanguard, a couple tattered Skaven units. And, you know, once you kind of get to the point where you lose the objectives and you have to retake it, and you don't have brute force via catapults and Globadiers, you're not going to be able to push back onto the point super easily. But the Council Guard might be able to get it. 1350 right now. Capture weight's quite close. War Dancers will trade quite well into Council Guard, but they're not going to want to get beaten on by the Rat Ogres here. So we might see this objective flip, ladies and gentlemen. It is going to be very, very close here as we see the points closing in on 1400. Bottom objective has been flipped, and the persistence of the Wood Elf Infantry has been able to kind of grind down this Skaven. It looks like the Chieftain and company have been rallied, so some of the Rat units have been given orders here to attack. Could go for a little back cap. It probably wouldn't work too well. Rats are holding on to this point just barely. You can see they're maintaining the capture weight, and are they going to be able to get it? I don't know, man. It's going to be tough. Wood Elves have a lot of good quality units, and that's the thing. If your whole army is relying on the Vermintide and you have the hammer aspect of the build, like the catapults, and then the catapults are just gone, then suddenly, of course, the momentum of the battle is going to shift. You're going to lose your killing power. So, you know, the Clan Rats and the Storm Vermin and all those, you know, Vermintide units aren't going to be able to do it. So Wood Elves moving back in, and guys, the objective is going to be flipping. The Rats have a ton of units, though, but good awareness from the Wood Elf player. Rexa here is going to be getting all these cav and is going to be screening them out, trying to keep them from getting to the objective. And basically for the Wood Elves, you just need to hold long enough that you can win on 2 points. And then you can yield this one. But that's going to be a while. I mean, it's very, very close here. Rats are still fighting. Council Guard grinding. Rat Ogres holding it down, able to kind of fight some of the cav. But we still do have the Spellweaver of Life and a lot of Eternal Guard up on the point, which should be quite good against those units. We got Clan Rats and Clan Rats moving to the bottom objective. Now the Chieftain and Skaven Slaves are moving over here. There is a little bit of a threat on this point, but it looks like Treekin, dude, the Treekin roadblock here. I do like this. And they're certainly a roadblock. It looks like they're moving, trying to get on the Clan Rats, but a little bit of lapse in orders right there. We'll see if the Rats can get around them. The Rats are quicker, I think, 38 speed against 34. And yeah, the Tree can then react, but the Rats already kind of snuck around them. But the War Dancer is going to be fighting to keep them off the point. Skaven capture weight here isn't that good. It's mainly Skaven Slaves, yeah. So their capture weight is going to be literally like 0.5 right now because they're so damaged. And the Chieftain will bring 3 capture weight, but not enough to surpass the War Dancers. The 2 Clan Rats will be a little bit more threatening. As the Wood Elves do respond with some Dryads of their own, it looks like the Skaven finally starting to unsummon some units. But it does not look like they're having any success pushing through the terror routes. And dude, the Lost Sylvan Knights, even though they got hammered so hard earlier, they're still bringing that terror to the table, which is like probably one of the things that's winning them the game. Without that, the Skaven would have a lot more staying power, and they would be able to grind. I don't know what happened to the Grey Seer. Maybe the Grey Seer got unsummoned at some point, but we do a little bit of fast forwarding. As the Skaven army continues to hustle up here on the side, we do see the Clan Rats trying to make their way to the point, but the Wood Elves are getting very, very danger close. Capture weight is going to be favoring the Skaven here, but as the Dryads arrive onto the point, the Dryad's going to be mitigating that, and obviously we'll start killing these units pretty quickly. War Dancers buzzsawing through these units. Absolutely one-sided fight. Spears against a dedicated anti-light armored, non-armored piercing, of course, but anti-light infantry unit, as these Clan Rats are just getting butchered. High ground objective, looking to be in the control of the Wood Elves. The Skaven might be able to eventually get this, but now the Wood Elves 100% win the game. There's no way they can come back, and that game like looked really over for a long time, honestly. This is my first time watching the replay, so I would be, have an honest reaction with it. But yeah, Skaven do get that objective back, but it's too little too late. Man, what a wild game. I mean, I know it was pretty simplistic in terms of the dynamics of the battle, but the Wood Elves, just eating those catapults, weathering the storm, and the simplicity of the Skaven build came back to bite it in the butt, right? The catapults were amazing. Look at that, 2,600, 1,700. If there had been more Skaven weapons teams, like some Globadiers, I think you just mix in like 2 globes. You cut 2 ogres and get 2 globes. I think the Skaven can win that game. They just ran out of killing power when their catapults went offline. So if you guys enjoyed that one, a lot of kills on some of these characters. You can see the poor Wild Riders. They tried their best. Some of them paid for themselves, but the Wood Elf Infantry really were the big winners. The Dryads and the War Dancers. GT, well played. We'll see you guys next time, and that's going to be it for tonight.